All right, joining me today here inside the TCO studios is future Hall of Fame running back. I'm going to just put that out into existence. Mr. Fred Taylor, co-host of The Pivot with Ryan Clark and Channing Crowder and Alicia. And Fred, first and foremost, thank you for joining me. I was going to talk about Channing's comments that went viral on First Take last week, talking about Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson, but the football community right now, Damar Hamlin, what happened to him on that field a couple of nights ago, I still haven't found words, but one thing that I love about The Pivot is that you guys are unfiltered, you give it how it is, and you allow people to have a different perspective on who the players are. So when you saw that hit, what was the first thing that came to mind?
When I saw the hit, it was just a regular routine tackle. You know, it just looked normal. It wasn't a dirty shot. It was, just T. Higgins running up in the middle and DeMar coming up, making a routine tackle where you would just cut away from the television, getting ready for that 30 seconds before they go in the huddle and come back out, get ready for the next play. But then when the camera panned to him, I'm like, here we go, just a couple minutes into the first quarter, here we have another injury. And I didn't think a lot of it. But then as it started to, go forward, then they talk about CPR. That's when it gets scary. As a former player, I've never seen CPR being administered, on the turf. Then the ambulance, being there. We've seen some ambulances come out close to the stretcher to receive guys that have, had some sort of spinal injury or something like that. But the extent of what happened last night, it was scary. I understand that there was a lot of procedures in place to determine what they were going to do with the game. Not for one that I think the NFL was going to play that game. I just thought that the necessary protocols, phone calls, and everything had to be done before they made that decision. This morning, as soon as I woke up, I sent prayers up for Damar, his family, everyone involved. And I'll continue to do that throughout my day until we see him, back to health, full strength.
Yeah, life is much more important than the game of football. Life is more important than anything that doesn't have life included in it. So just understanding that and trying to pivot to this Minnesota Vikings team. You talked about just your ties with the team, Keenan McCardell, your former coach. But before we get to K-Mac, because K-Mac, man, I know y'all are boys, but I was looking at your Twitter the other day, and July 5th, 2022, someone asked you if there was one player in the NFL today that reminded you of yourself, who would it be? You replied, you said Dalvin Cook. Why?
Well, I love Dalvin's running style, first and foremost. His center of gravity, his balance. He has amazing vision, his burst. He can take it a distance. He can run people over. He has amazing hands out of the backfield. No, he's a total package. He's a, every down back. Even though the league tries to, shift that and say, well, we're looking out for you. You got to get you some rest, all this and that. No, Dalvin's a every down back, and he's a Florida boy. So, we got some of that in common. I would always say Dalvin Cook, the Saquon Barkleys, Jonathan Taylors, the Alvin Kamaras, those guys who have amazing vision and jump cut, and they can just burst and take it a distance. Those are my style of back. But yeah, just quickly, I do want to address Channing's comment.
Okay,
because Channing's a wild boy. I think Kirk is having an amazing year. Kirk has been a consummate pro. I think people get it confused that because he was one of the first players in the history of the game to have a fully guaranteed contract when he signed with Minnesota, the expectations automatically go through the roof. And naturally, he didn't have just an amazing year upon arriving to Minnesota, but now he's showing you that he's capable. He's certainly a franchise quarterback. He has all the tools to make all the throws. He's feisty. He's an amazing leader. He gets those guys going. I think the energy trickle downs through Kirk. That's where it starts. And then his compadre, his contemporary, and Justin Jefferson. I think he should also be in a MVP talk. He's having an amazing season. I'm certainly rooting for him I hope in his last game he can find a way to go out and get that 229 to eclipse that 2,000-yard mark. Such an amazing talent. What he's done to shatter Randy's record. Randy's also a great friend of mine, class of '98, Hall of Famer. And what Justin is doing in his young career, we haven't seen that since Randy and Megatron and those guys. And he's in that group, in that category. So special group up there in Minnesota. I'm rooting for y'all. It's going to be tough because the NFC is tough. But I think they can pull together, close games. Doesn't have to be blowouts, as I said on First Take. Just win. That's what it's about, just winning.
Yeah, winning is the main thing. And just speaking of Justin Jefferson, you played with this coach, Keenan McCardell, for 4 years in Jacksonville. That was in my opinion, that was the prime Jacksonville Jaguar days. I know the Jaguars are in the playoff hunt right now. But when you were playing with K-Mac back in the day, did you see him ever becoming a coach? And, does it surprise you how he's gotten JJ to this point?
It doesn't surprise me that Keenan's a coach. Keenan, he was always the guy on the sideline, coaching away from the coaches. Over-communicate to communicate, and making sure that the message was delivered. Fiery, he would have his moments where he would say, hey, I'm wide open. Jimmy's wide open too, but, Keenan would be wide open. And just an amazing route runner. So it's no secret that he's helped Justin's route running consistency and development become that much better. I think he's been able to be a beneficiary of Keenan's talent. What Keenan did on the field, he was our possession guy, not the fastest, but he can get behind you because he would chop you up at the line of scrimmage. A good blocker, in the run game. He took that to heart. He made sure he tried his best to open up lanes for me. But yeah, Keenan, I'm not surprised that he's a coach at all, man. Just an amazing person across the board. Family oriented, cares about his teammates, always did. Cool, down to earth, fashionable. I don't go on you guys' away trips, but I know on our away trips, he was always clean.
It's the same.
He was sharp to the T. So he brought the fashion to the team, and everybody tried to copy Keenan on a game day and make sure that they had the best of the best. So yeah, Keenan's great, man. He's amazing.
Yeah, and Keenan's going to be a huge contributor to this Vikings team making this playoff push. And for you, outside looking in, but watching the NFL every single week, what do you think it'll take for this Minnesota Vikings team to get over that hump and make some noise in the playoffs?
I think they have to maintain their confidence. They have to maintain their confidence, realize that they have what it takes to win close games. We saw what they did in the Indy game, the largest comeback in the history of the NFL. So that in itself, the NFL is about winning. It doesn't matter the margin of victory. That all is irrelevant at the very end of the day. If you go on and win a Super Bowl, no one's going to say, well, they only won 20 games by 1 or 2 points. They're the Super Bowl champion at the end of the day, if that's what it is, looking back on it. So they just have to continue to believe in themselves and all the guys that are in that locker room that's going to contribute. Take the Green Bay game, throw that out the window. Everybody resets to zero. But because we had the season we had, we know we're more than capable. They have to have that mindset going in, stick to it, and go out there and just ball. Let it all hang out, hold nothing back. That's what the playoffs is going to be about, playing your hardest each and every snap. And whatever the result is at the end of the day, you have to walk away with no regrets, being able to live with your performance. And that would be my message to the entire group of guys.
My last question for you, because you just made a good point. 1 game left, and right now the talk in Minnesota is, well, you already got the 3 seed. The chances of getting the 2 seed is slim, but you can get there. So as a player, you made it to the playoffs 4 times with the Jacksonville Jaguars. You already had it clinched during that last week of the season. What's your mindset if you're a starter? Do you want to play? Do you want to sit? How do you approach that?
I mean, the game has changed, obviously, a lot. Back then, I wanted to be firing on all cylinders. If we had an opportunity to create a bye type scenario where we can rest, a group of guys, our stars, per se, especially at the running back position. Then, yeah, quarterback position, then, yeah, you have certain key positions. If you're already pretty much slotted, back in the day, we had, the wild cards and two teams had buys. This time around is different, where 6 teams got to go out. And you can kind of set yourself up and look at matchups. If they're the 3 seed, naturally, they're going to go out there and play the 6 seed. So depending on who that is, you can say, if we have an opportunity to get the 2, yeah, we might not want to play the 7, or vice versa at 3 versus 6. So they got to really weigh it out, look at what's best for their team. I think as a player, guys know how they feel at this point in the season. I would probably say I would love to go out there and play fearless. You can't go out there playing timid. Even if you have an opportunity to play minimal reps, you still got to go out there, trying your best each and every snap. It's about mindset. It's about making sure you feel sharp, you feel confident and content going into, the playoffs. So whatever it needs is what it needs. My guy, Trevor Mowat, sports psychologist who recently passed away, Trevor says, it takes what it takes.
That's awesome, man. Freddie T, a pleasure talking to you. Like I told you before, I watched the pivot, haven't missed an episode. I talked to Alicia. I appreciate her getting in contact and making this thing happen. But for Fred and for Ryan, I get the comments they've gotten from Minnesota Vikings fans. I've learned being in Minnesota 3 years that Minnesota is a gated community, and when people try to get in the gate, they're gonna fire back. But much respect to those guys, and much respect to you. Appreciate you joining.
I appreciate you for having me, man. Shout out to my pivot brothers. Good luck to you guys up there, man. Wishing you the best.